Oh, here's an internal fix-up. Today we have this Texas Instruments Datamath TI-2500 in a rather sad box. Let's see if I can tape that. This is Texas Instruments' first calculator. Well, the first one they sold. They had made a prototype back in the 60s that they didn't actually sell. But anyway, this is the first one on the market from Texas Instruments. This is the second version. I think they had 4 versions of this actually, and they went on to like the 2500-2 and so other evolutions. But of the TI 2500, I think there were 4 versions, and this is the second version. You can kind of see, if you're familiar with the Texas Instruments style boxes, the later on after this, like with the SR10 and some others, they made black boxes with a colorful patterns on them. But this is the older style. So just a little packing in there. I think there's supposed to be a foam thing that goes over this, like a styrofoam thing that goes over this to hold the calculator, but I guess that one missing, so they just used some newspaper instead. That's fine. Here's the calculator itself. Just your basic 4-function calculator. This is the version 2. Version 1 had like CE/D on this key, and version 2 got rid of that. And then on the later versions, you could actually change the batteries easily. They had a little trap door on the back that you could get in, and you could either put in regular alkaline batteries or rechargeable ones. As you can see, this does not have that. This is only rechargeable batteries, and you have to open it up to replace them. Which we'll be doing today, and see if it still works. The person I got this from did plug it in, which is not the best thing to do. Here's the charger in its little box, which is nice. Later packaging, they got rid of that box for the charger. And here's the charger itself. And actually, that's and that's interesting. The SR10 and later TI calculators use like a TR plug, with kind of like your headphones with the tip and then the ring. This is a barrel plug, so interesting. This off here, you can see it's the charger itself, so it's a bit interesting. You can see there's the plug on the back, so yeah, there's a different style. Not sure when they changed that exactly. Not sure what version 3 would have had. This one feels a bit loose in there, that's interesting. So anyway, like I was saying, the person that got this from did plug it in, and it did not work properly. I guess the input numbers were all jumbled up on the screen and wouldn't sound properly input. And the reason for that is because Texas Instruments kind of cheaped out on the power supplies for these. They did not have any sort of smoothing on the power supply. So this thing here, if you see what it says, no, it doesn't. It just says output 7.5 volts, but that's 7.5 volts AC, and the calculator has no input smoothing on it either. So what Texas Instruments did is they relied on the batteries to smooth out the input from the charger when you're charging it. So if you run it without the batteries, or with the batteries completely dead, like they would be 50 years ago, or let's just say 50 years since this was made. These batteries are 50 years old, and no, cadmium does not last that long. This has no input smoothing on it now, so basically what happens is when you run this off the charger in its current state, you're feeding halfway rectified AC directly into the electronics, which is not the best for it. Best case, it just won't work, and it just won't work. Worst case, you'll actually end up frying something because the DC pulses get high enough to fry the chips. So we'll have to see what this is going to be in this case. There's a little book here. Actually, another little book. There's only 11 pages, 12 pages. There's the date there, 73. I'm not sure what the time ranges were for these versions. The first version came out in 72, I believe. So I guess they were still on version 2 at the end of 73. So I'm not sure when they changed to version 3 and how long of a run that had, but it also came with a little case, which looks like it does not say TI on it, which the later cases did. So, let's put some of this stuff to the side, open this up, and see if this one will be savable or not. So we need this. Now, that's one area where I was kind of surprised that TI did that. You know, TI was not known for making cheap calculators. The calculators were not as expensive as HP, but certainly they were not, you know, like the lowest, the cheapest stuff you could buy, and that screwdriver is not going to work at all. So I was kind of surprised that TI made these that way. But they did that all the way up, at least to the mid-70s. I'm not sure if the later 70s ones had it, but all the TI calculators I have that take rechargeable batteries are made that way. Open this up. You can see there are the original nickel cadmium cells, and of course that one's corroded. You can see there's those some really thin wires they've got there. There's the power supply and the chips there. So this is the main, technically that would be a microcontroller. We would call that today, it's CPU, RAM, and ROM all on one chip. Back in the day they just called it a calculator on a chip, but I'd imagine, I don't know if anyone actually did, but I'd imagine you could use that for other applications other than calculators, because it is just a basic microcontroller. I'm not sure what the capacity of it is, but it's their CPU and then RAM and ROM all on that chip. And I believe all of these other chips here are just the display drivers for the LED display. And then down here, this is the power supply, because this, I believe this is PMOS, but these early MOS chips needed multiple different voltages. I think at least 3 or 4 voltages to run. So you got your batteries there, which only put out, of course, you know, the 1 voltage. So you got all this stuff to generate the other voltages needed for these early MOS chips. I'm not sure exactly when they simplify that out, but usually like CMOS only needs, you know, power and ground. Sharp was early in on the CMOS game. I'm not sure if they were the first. I think they were the first actually in '73 to put out a CMOS calculator. Let's take off this little strap here, and then probably what I will do is I will test this out before soldering in the new batteries. Got some foam on there. It's actually not that bad, really. Sometimes you open these up and the entire, you're not actually seeing the whole thing, and the entire board here is all corroded, but this is actually really not that bad. So, let's see, ahead of time, I prepared something and now I seem to have lost it, so let me find that. This is what I prepared ahead of time. I found it now. So this is a little battery pack that I made up. I just went on eBay and purchased a pack of these. I think they advertise them as like shaver batteries or something, but they're just nickel cadmium. These are 1,000 milliamp hours, which should be fine for this application. This is not something that I would be using all the time, just, you know, something to play around with now and again. So that should be fine for capacity. 1.2 volt nickel cadmium, and they have the solder tabs spot welded on. If you have a spot welder, you could probably weld tabs on just regular batteries if you wanted to, but I don't have one, so I got those. And I I'm sure you could buy pre-made packs of that if you wanted to, but you know, I don't mind making them, so I just soldered these together. And if we bring in the meter here, we can see that these are at, hang up my leads here. At 4.4 volts, so not a completely full charge, but I didn't charge them, so that's just how they came. So what I'm going to do is unsolder the old batteries and just use clip leads to tie in the new batteries, and we'll see what the calculator does, and if it works, then we can proceed. If not, then there's really nothing we can do with this, because you know, if this chip is fried, then you know, nothing you can do about that, really. You basically just have to get into the calculator and to get that chip, because like I said, this is a microcontroller, so it's programmed to have the calculator software on it. So even if you could find, this is a TMS 0119NC, so even if you could somehow find a chip like that, you would have to program it, and I don't know that anyone has a listing of Texas Instruments calculator software that they would use on here. Anyway, let's pull off the 2 leads from here, and we'll see if we have any luck. Alright, so with the batteries soldered in, I do get my 4 volts right here on the switch like I would expect. Where's the job would work because you're running it. So let's see if this will. Oh, that's why it was backwards. That's why it didn't work before. I had the switch backwards. So back is on, forward is off. Oh well. And the wire just popped off the switch, so I have to fix that. But anyway, yeah, it should work. Okay. So this wire just broke off, this real thin and flimsy wire. So I'll solder that back on. Should be basically done at that point. Alright, so that is soldered back on now. And you can kind of see how this works here. So this is the barrel jack power supply input. You can see one side of that goes right to the negative side of the battery, and the other side goes into this diode here, which then goes through a resistor. So you can really see it down there. Yeah, so there's the diode, goes over to that terminal there, and then has a resistor that goes down right into the other side of the battery. And of course, the negative side of the battery goes right into the calculator, and then, that's my stupid meter. Then the positive side goes through the switch right into the calculator. So there's no kind of capacitors or anything filtering this AC input coming in from the power supply. They're just relying on the batteries themselves to do that. And of course, when you're charging something, you have to charge the batteries at a higher voltage than the batteries are rated for. So if you take these out, basically you're sending, higher than operating voltage plus its DC pulse, so the spikes of the half-wave rectifier are going to be even higher than that. So yeah, it's not really the best design in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do it. Like I said, these are not like the cheapest, lowest end calculators you could buy. I mean, some of the Texas Instruments stuff was pretty expensive. So yeah, it just kind of annoyed me, I guess, that they did that. But anyway, so we can pop this back together now. Maybe. I guess that's just how it goes together. Doesn't really snap into anything. It's just a little bit loose on there. Anyway. Maybe it's not together. There it goes. Yeah, so like I said, it's not. No, it doesn't go. There's no sort of defined outline, but really to fit into. It's not wanting to. It just slides all over the place. It's kind of weird. Hard to find the right spot. There, that one's going in. Let's see if this will pop right now. This one is shorter, that's why. So I'm being dumb. Putting the wrong screw in the wrong hole. There we go. Helps if you put it back together, right? Right, I think that should be together. Actually, it's not quite together, is it? Is that a screw hole? No, that's not the screw hole. Never mind, it is together. I don't know what that hole is for. I'll just put this back in. Like that, and there we go. Yep. Alright, so that's working. So should be able to plug in the power supply. And when I do this, I'm going to let it charge up for a few minutes before turning it on. They actually recommend that you do that in the Texas Instruments manual. I knock stuff over on my mess of a bench or a table. It's not even a bench. So let that charge up for a minute. I think they actually say that on the back. Yes, built-in battery gives 4 to 6 hours of portable operation. Probably more now because I'm sure the batteries you put in are higher capacity than the originals. Full recharge in 10 hours. You just think about that for a minute. The calculator operates for 4 to 6 hours, but takes 10 hours to charge. Can you imagine that ratio today? Like if your cell phone, say your cell phone lasts for, 2 days, a day, 2 days. This is like, well, twice the min range and almost twice the max range. Can you imagine if it took like 2 to 4 days to charge your phone to a full charge and only lasts for a day or 2 days? It's kind of impressive. So it's 4 to 6 hours of use for a 10-hour charge. Low battery is indicated by lighted decimals, which we see because the batteries are low. Do not operate calculator as a portable when low battery indication is on. Charge in off position for 1 minute or more before operating calculator with charger. So yeah, we're gonna let that charge up for a minute. I'm not exactly sure why they say that though, because if the batteries are low, you think that would provide an even more filtering effect on the DC ripple there. So it's kind of interesting that they say charge it, when it's low. Don't use it when it's low. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, we will follow the directions. May as well. We're waiting for that actually. Maybe take a little look at the book. The little small book. I think later versions of this had a different picture on the cover too. So you get a little look at that there. These are not expensive, by the way. eBay is full of these for very low prices, in the box and not in the box. So pretty easy to get your hands on one of these. Obviously these are not quite as common as the later revisions, but still it's very easy to find one of these. And this is not let's take a look at this while I'm talking. These are little examples of how to do different stuff. This is not, a historically significant calculator in the terms of like the evolution of calculators, because the first calculator that was this form factor actually released by Bomar a year before this. So this really is only significant in the fact that it's Texas Instruments' first calculator. This was released in '72, the first version. The Bowmar 901B was released in 71, and it was the first calculator to have this sort of form factor. And then, of course, after this, they released the SR10, which was the first scientific. Which actually, this is what I was talking about with the boxes with the bright colors on. They later redid the later we did the 2500 box to be more of this style. Yeah, so this is the SR10, which was the first scientific. All these are, pretty cheap. You can pick them up for, I think I paid like $10 for most of these. The book and the guide there, and then of course the calculator itself, which has square root, x squared, and reciprocals, and then of course scientific notation. That was in 72. It's after the HP 35. I think the HP 35 was released in May, and this was like September or October or something. Followed by the SR11, which has the small keys. You can see pretty much the same functionality as SR10, just says the small keys, and they added a pi button. This one's missing the charger, it looks like. I don't have batteries in any of these, so I'll turn them on. And then the SR50, which this is a lighter version of the manual. They have a They have a SR50 manual that matches this style, so I pick up one of those sometimes. So since it matches the box, whereas this is the lighter style that matches the lighter red boxes. But anyway, not that important. And this one added the trig function and everything. You have a summation and powers and roots and all that stuff, factorials even. They have followed that up with the SR51, and then the SR52 was their first programmable calculator. And until the SR52, TI was basically playing catch up with HP. Even TI gives you these little leather cases to put your calculator in, versus HP gives this. It's nice. This is metal actually wrapped in. I think this is probably fake leather, but definitely a much nicer carrying case. Where you got space for the books and the charger. It's even got its own little leather case inside the big case. And these, in my opinion, and I'm assuming a lot of other people's opinion given the prices of them, are built a lot better than the TIs. Even the plastic, like this is that, the smooth, shiny plastic, just feels a little bit, I don't want to say cheaper, but this feels nicer, nicer quality. The keys feel a bit nicer quality. Of course, if you look at the power supply input, this one has 3 pins. So it has a neutral, and then 1 pin for charging the batteries and 1 pin for powering the calculator. So you can run these without the battery pack in. See if this one's charged. Kind of. This one has an issue with the not making good connection to the battery. So I have to, if I squeeze it, it'll come on there. Well, let me plug it in. So let me try that again with it plugged in. There we go. Of course, these are RPMs, so and you have to set the thing. That wasn't it. There we go. There we go, all the decimal points. Yeah, the one thing I would complain about with these is, with this happened to my HP 35, is this switch is just a spring contact against traces on the circuit board in here. And on my HP 35, it's actually wearing the traces off the board from the switch being operated so many times. I don't know how common that is, but it's just something that I've experienced on my HP 35. And also, something that's nice, as you can see, it's gold plated. And if you open this up, I believe all the traces on the circuit board are gold plated, which something I always thought was pretty cool about HP. They did the same thing in some of their desktop calculators as well. Just open up and everything's all gold inside. It looks pretty cool. But anyway, so while I've been playing around here, let's see if this guy has charged any. Probably not. It's probably going to take a while to charge, but if I unplug the charger and turn it on, hey, it did charge. So you see all the lights are out now, so the battery's got high enough that it's not sending the low battery indicator, so there we go. That works. Successful fix. I think that's going to be about it for this video. I'll just plug this back in and let it charge a while longer. The original batteries, it said 10 hours to charge. With these high capacity ones, I've been able to let it plugged in for 3 days before it's fully charged. So definitely a trickle charge on those guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, a little look at placing batteries in this, and then going through some other relevant devices. This is the HP 45, by the way. This is HP's second scientific calculator. They came out with the 35 in 72 and the 45 in 73. And in between that, they had the HP 80, which was a business-oriented one. Had like more statistic type stuff, I guess. And then in 74, they came out with the 65, which was programmable. And then when HP came out, or when TI rather came out with the SR52, which was their programmable, it had a little bit of extra space, or like storage space for programming steps and stuff. And of course, it had their algebraic entry system where you could enter like parentheses and everything. So for normal people, they would prefer that above the RPM. But I think on the SR52 it had a limitation of like 9 nested parentheses, which for most people is fine, but there's going to be some calculations that it wouldn't be able to handle. You would have to use the RPM for with the HP stuff. I think that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.